Big it up, big it up. Hear my voice. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. Here we go.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Casual Wrestling Community Show. I am your host, the Notorious Nerdy D, and I am joined tonight by the co-host of this show, Level Up, Lauren.
What's up, y'all?
Each and every week, we talk the best and worst of pro wrestling. Whether you are listening on podcast networks or watching on YouTube, make sure to like and leave a comment on this episode. This episode is coming to you a day late because I got bit by a spider this week.
Yes, you did.
And my ankle swole up to the size of like a baseball. And now it's kind of black and nasty, but I was able to hobble up here to the studio to record this on Thursday night instead of Wednesday night. So we're one day late. We're still hitting.
We're still doing it though.
We trucked through it. There was a chance we weren't going to do it. It was looking very scary for a minute, but got my antibiotics and everything's looking good, feeling better, and my ointments and all that shit. And so this week's episode, though, we're going to do a Q&A because I didn't have as much time to prep for the show. So we just took some questions, fielded some questions, and we'll kind of wing it and go from there. So what you got some questions for me here?
All right. So our first question of the night comes from a new listener. Daniel Bird, he sent an email, which if you have a question, go ahead and send your questions to this email, questions@imnerdyd.com. He said, I really enjoyed the Money in the Bank pay-per-view up until the point that Adam Pearce added Theory to the men's match. Do you think that Liv and Theory were the right choices to win the two matches?
All right. So this is a funny question because I spent a lot of time thinking about this. I include myself in this when I say this, but we as fans spend a lot of time complaining about, we see the same matches week in, week out, right? It's rinse and repeat with WWE. Oh, we've seen this match 6 times in a row. We've seen this person win 100 times. And I'm neither a big Liv Morgan, and I guess I'm kind of on the fence with Theory. But if I look at both of the fields, who deserved it more than those two? That would be the question that I ask. Is who deserves it more and who really needed it more than those two people? I get Theory wasn't originally in the match and it was kind of weird to throw him in last minute, but they did it, right?
Yeah.
We got to be honest. Theory represents the future of WWE. Love him, hate him. They're pushing to make him the new John Cena or the new big thing, Roman Reigns. I hate when people compare people to other people, right? Yeah. They're trying to make him the next John Cena. No, they're trying to make him the next face of the WWE. And Theory right now represents the future. Theory provides a very interesting next 6 months in WWE now that he holds the Money in the Bank title, right? If Seth Rollins would have won it, like I predicted, and like, stupidly thinking like he needed it, he doesn't need it. He's won it before. He's cashed in before. He doesn't need it to get back. His path to the championship doesn't need to go through Money in the Bank. But Theory having the Money in the Bank briefcase, it adds a twist on the next 6 months, because is Theory really the guy who's going to take the belt off of Roman Reigns? There's now a possibility that is a situation we run into here in the next 6 months. Or is Theory going to be another case where someone loses a cash in, right? Maybe he cashes in on Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar and he loses at SummerSlam, and then this is all kind of a moot point. We're not worried about this anymore. But like, it just feels like maybe this was the right thing. As much as we all kind of have a nasty taste in our mouth leaving Money in the Bank, it provided parity. It provided situations that we weren't ready for. If Seth Rollins won it, we all assumed Seth Rollins was going to cash it in and beat Roman Reigns. If Riddle won it, we all assumed that was a path that led. We don't know where the path leads with Theory. We really don't. We don't know, is he cashing in the next 3 months, or is he holding on to this till WrestleMania? I mean, there's still the possibility that he holds on to it till WrestleMania and Cody comes back at some point and beats Roman Reigns, and then we get Cody Theory at WrestleMania, which is still a fun situation. So I'm not going to hate this and say it was the wrong move, because when I look at the list of names, Drew McIntyre didn't need it. Sheamus didn't need it.
No.
Seth Rollins didn't need it. Omos definitely didn't need it. Riddle didn't need it. No, nobody needed this. Theory was an interesting choice. Throwing him at the last minute, maybe it was a last minute decision, but it doesn't. And this definitely all, trust me, was an overreaction to Cody not being in the match, because I think we all knew Cody was going to win this match. But look, he won, and I'm actually interested in what happens in the next 6 months. Now, talking about Liv Morgan to me was right place, right time. We all kind of knew Liv was on this path where the WWE universe was behind her. For what reason, I still don't understand. I don't know what makes Liv so likable that people are just so infatuated with Liv Morgan, but there is an infatuation with Liv Morgan. Dates back to like the pre-WrestleMania when everybody was pitting her and Bianca Belair against each other. I don't understand it, but this Liv winning this Money in the Bank was right place, right time. WWE knew, hey, we can get a moment out of this. We can get a big pop out of this. If Liv wins the ladder match, the crowd will be behind that winner. Becky didn't need to win that. I picked Raquel Rodriguez, who I still think was the long-term best play for WWE. They didn't go there. Shotzi didn't win it. Shotzi is another story we'll talk about later. But Liv won, and you predicted Liv.
I did.
And the crowd's behind Liv, and they popped, and they were excited, and she cried, and she did the big I'm excited thing. But we got to be honest, right? It's a feel-good story, but she's not a long-term champion.
No, I'll agree with you
Liv
on that
Morgan's not holding on. Best case scenario for Liv Morgan is 2 to 3 months with that belt. That's it. That's the best case scenario. That's the longest Liv Morgan will hold that belt. I don't think she makes it even that far. I think WWE saw the opportunity. Get a cheap pop with her pulling the briefcase down. You get a cheap pop with her taking the belt off of Ronda Rousey. I think they also knew with the possibility that Bayley's coming back soon. I think they knew they did not want to waste Bayley and Ronda Rousey at this point in time. So they needed someone to transition to so they can get that belt back on Bayley as soon as possible. That's just my belief. That's what I think is about to happen. I think Bayley returns, and Bayley is a heel. Bayley will go face-to-face with Liv Morgan. It will drag out a few weeks. I think at SummerSlam, we get Ronda Rousey and Liv Morgan. And somehow Liv Morgan will win that match. Possibly Bayley returns and attacks Ronda Rousey. I don't know. There's some way that happens. But I think moving forward, the program that we're going to see is going to be Bayley and Liv Morgan, and I think that it's just a matter of time before Liv Morgan loses that belt. She is not a long-term champion. I also think, though, the problem here is this is going to expose Liv Morgan for everything I've said for the last 6 months. She's going to have to use a microphone, and she can't use a microphone. What she can't do is what she's done now. Night one coming out after winning the belt, she cuts a promo about, I'm so excited. You can't keep cutting that promo. You can't keep cutting a promo telling me how excited you are to be a champion. At a certain point in time, Liv Morgan is going to have to cut a promo that has substance and that matters and that makes people feel something. And I don't know if that's in her. Because I think even more than Bianca Belair, because I say this about Bianca Belair often. I love Bianca Belair, but Bianca Belair's promos become a lot weaker when she has the belt. She's not you got to have a little swag. You got to have a little bit of shit talking as a champion. And Bianca is almost overly positive and friendly. And Liv, on the flip side, is like overly excited about being there. And at a certain point, she's going to have to flip that switch and make us believe I can beat the Baileys. I can beat the Charlottes. I can beat the Becky Lynches. Because from where I'm sitting right now, I don't believe she can do that. And she doesn't give me the confidence that she can do that.
All right.
What else you got for me?
Okay, so the next question was actually something that I noticed when you and I were watching WWE. I saw that they debuted the picture-in-picture for the commercial breaks this week, right? Now, you and I both usually watch it on DVR like an hour or so afterwards, but I wanted to know what your thoughts were on the picture-in-picture commercials.
So I wonder if this is everywhere. I don't know if this is based on like localization of what you're watching, if there's different contracts for how commercials work. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But this was probably a little more jarring to you than it was to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Because this isn't new. This is something WWE's done before, and as we both know, this is what AEW currently does, is they run picture-in-picture with their commercials. And the funny thing about this question is, I think it's less of a wrestling question and more of like a marketing and advertising question that just involves professional wrestling. WWE has a duty to make their advertisers happy. And I imagine right now in this day and age, and it's not just with wrestling, this is probably with every TV program, selling advertising has to be a little bit of a rough thing with the invention of DVR, right?
True.
When we watch wrestling on YouTube TV, which is one of the cable systems we have,
Yeah,
we have
of
two
them.
right now. We're able to fast forward through commercials. So Raw becomes a much more digestible show. When you can take out 30 to 45 minutes of commercials, because that's what it feels like is in every episode. When you can take that out, you can whiz through Monday Night Raw. But also, everybody who's paid for that advertising, they're getting nothing for their dollar. Now, when we watch it on Hulu, they have a way of forcing us to watch commercials, even when we're watching live TV, which is weird. Don't like it. It's why I still have an affinity for YouTube TV. It's commercial for YouTube TV there, right there. But I noticed this week, what we did was we ended up watching the commercials, right? Because as a group, we kind of decided, we don't want to miss anything.
Well, also, I personally was like watching the commercials instead of watching the wrestling.
Well, so it was effective, basically.
Yes.
What WWE was effective. What I was trying to say was, I guess you got me once. You got me once, WWE. You got me. I'm watching the commercials. I'm watching what's going on. Because there's this like FOMO feeling of like, I don't want to miss anything that I can see in wrestling. But the reality is that's all shit we miss normally. Mm-hmm. They're not going to put any big spots in that commercial break. They're not doing anything we're going to miss in that commercial break. That is dead time. It's planned out within the match. The wrestlers know when it goes to commercial. You're not supposed to hit big spots. There's no pins. Nothing big happens in that time. And to me, what happened to me was when we sat through those commercials, it killed the momentum for me. Because typically you get through that commercial and you're right back into the action. Having to watch that kind of dead time wrestling with no commentary or anything like that, it killed all momentum that I had going into those matches. But I think the bigger issue, Lauren, than just the picture-in-picture is the amount of commercials that WWE airs during Monday Night Raw. At one point in time, we were watching the Mysterios and the Judgment Day, and I think we all commented that there was probably more commercials than televised match.
Yes, definitely.
And how are we supposed to, as they continue to just fucking flop on the Judgment Day, how are we supposed to take things seriously when, like, you're not taking the Judgment Day seriously? You've put Papa John's and Pizza Hut and McDonald's on the screen while I'm watching them, and how am I supposed to be interested when every 5 minutes, it's not even 5, it felt like 3, every 3 minutes they're cutting to a commercial.
It was crazy. I
still believe that Monday Night Raw needs to be a 2-hour show. Raw has to be 2 hours, just like SmackDown. This 3 hours is just too much. If they really want 3 hours of programming, what they need to do is they need to have like a special hour of NXT, even an hour of last week's NXT run into Monday Night Raw programming. Because if I go to turn on Monday Night Raw 15 minutes early and there's Braun Breaker and Cameron Grimes having a main event match, I'm probably going to tune in and watch. And if I watch that match, more than likely I'm going to go, I'm going to investigate that deeper, and I'm going to go watch NXT that week to see what this is all about. 3 hours is just too much. It's not tight, and there are huge highs and huge lows in Monday Night Raw that I don't want to sit through that every week.
You check out after a minute.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So I have another question for you. Okay. And this one actually comes from Billy Rios.
Okay.
In Grapevine, Texas.
Okay.
And he asked, "Hey, Notorious, who do you think is behind the cryptid promos from Money in the Bank and Raw?"
So I've watched these now probably 3 to 4 times.
Okay.
I think, like everybody, it's fairly obvious that the videos in some way are related to Edge. I think at this point it's not a mystery. I think we all know that in some form or fashion these videos are referring to Edge. But where I think this gets interesting, where it gets interesting to me is it only Edge that we're talking about here? If we look at both WWE and AEW right now, they're both dealing with an intense injury list, right? Both companies have so many injuries. WWE has Randy, Cody, Big E, Rhea Ripley, a lot of main event players not on the roster. It feels like to me that free agents are going to start being a hot commodity in pro wrestling. And so when I look at the cryptic promos and I go, well, yeah, it's probably Edge. And more than likely, it's just Edge. But that's not a fun answer. It's not fun to just say Edge. What's more fun is if this is Edge and somebody.
Okay.
And I know like everybody initially was like, it's Bray Wyatt. I think that the most fun answer to this would be if they allowed Edge to come back with Bray Wyatt. And not just Bray Wyatt. Another big name floating around is still Braun Strowman. If they let Edge come back with Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman and kind of do a Wyatt Family 2.0 type thing, but let Edge run this essentially how he wanted to run the Judgment Day. Because it's been leaked that Edge was not happy with how they kind of turned the Judgment Day into something he didn't want. So just let him take this group and do the exact same thing he wanted to do with this group. These are main event players. And what WWE is lacking right now is not, they have some main event players, but they don't have home run hitters. They don't have big names that you can throw up and kind of casual wrestling fans get that excitement. And if you look, Braun Strowman is a name that could jump in immediately. Bray Wyatt is a name that can jump in immediately and be headliner material. Because right now, if you look at the home run hitters in WWE, it's Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar right now seems more of like an emergency, like break glass for emergency. It feels like every time shit starts to kind of get a little fucked up, they go, call Brock. Call Brock. He'll save us. He'll fight Roman again. And we'll say, you know, this is the last time they'll ever fight. But they panic, right? Mm-hmm. With Roman Reigns, he's the other home run hitter, but he's 1 foot out the door. We can't get him to show up to SmackDown anymore. It's now become like a special feature. We're running promos for like, guess who's showing up to SmackDown? Your champion might be there. I thought we were done with this when Brock Lesnar lost the belt. I thought, oh, great. We have a champion who's going to show up every week. But it feels like the WWE Championship is now something that you get and then you just disappear and you don't have to be there every week, right? Cody Rhodes, he's a big time guy, but he's gone till what, January? And then John Cena came back and said, basically, he damn near said he retired. Like, I know people heard that a different way, but John Cena basically came back and said, as long as they put me in movies, you're probably not going to see me in wrestling. The door's always open. I may show back up, but every time they sign I sign a contract for a movie, I'm not coming back to wrestle. As long as this Peacemaker shit is paying the way it is, I'm not coming back to wrestle. I'm not saying I'm done, but you may not see me for a while. That's basically what he said. So guys like Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt, they can immediately come in and impact the company, especially along with Edge. If your problem with Bray Wyatt was that I don't know what the problem with Bray Wyatt was, honestly, because it seemed like he was always over.
I agree. 100%.
But if you put him with Edge, it just feels like a match made in heaven. Throw in Braun Strowman just because it's another big name, and I think you have something that could set the wrestling world on fire. It continues to baffle me that WWE is going to push guys like Damian Priest. Uninteresting. Can't really talk on a microphone. Like, with the help of Edge, there might have been something there, but now that we've removed Edge, Damian Priest has zero hope. There's not, like, Damian Priest was better off before Judgment Day. WWE's going to push guys like Omos. They're going to push these guys while Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman are floating around the independent scene. And I don't want to hear about money. The money's there. WWE makes enough money. The money is there to pay these guys what they need, especially because WWE needs these names. They need to get these names before AEW gets these names, because somebody eventually is going to scoop up this talent. And this talent will, you know, they'll be back on television, especially Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I agree. Can't wait. All right. So I got another one for you. Mm-hmm. So this one is actually about Dominic Mysterio.
Okay.
Okay. My favorite person. So What do you think that can be done?
That was condescending, right?
Yes, it was totally.
Okay.
What do you think can be done for Dominic Mysterio to get him over with the WWE audiences? And then there's a second part of this one, which is, does Rey Mysterio have any more main event caliber in him?
So it's a two-part question. And I think we've kind of touched on this before. So I'll kind of rehash what we said. There is a part of me that says it's too late for Dominic. WWE's dropped the ball. There's nothing you can do to make anybody like him. I don't think anybody likes Dominic Mysterio. I don't think there's anybody who takes Dominic Mysterio serious. I mean, he's just Rey Mysterio's baby boy. There were two clear paths. There were two clear paths presented for Dominic Mysterio in WWE that would have made him immediately likable and just gave him success in WWE. And that was A, you either make him the new Rey Mysterio. You just carbon copy, print and repeat. Rey Mysterio hands the mask over to his son. He becomes the new Rey Mysterio. There it is. It's built in. All he's got to do is flip around the ring, wear the mask, have the music, and people will go fucking crazy. B, you made him the new Eddie Guerrero. I lie, I steal, I cheat. I come out, I cheat, I do the little shimmy thing, and and you see like they tease little things like that, but they never fully buy into it. But right now, Dominic's character is just a child. His gimmick,
baby boy. His
gimmick is being an adolescent. That's what it is. Look, listen to this for a second. Dominic Mysterio is 25 years old. Okay, 25 years old. Theory is 24 years old. Theory right now is in the picture of possibly fighting against Roman Reigns for the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship. Do you know what Dominic's doing? He's getting lessons from his dad still.
True.
So at what point in time, when do we ever feel like there will be a credible moment when Dominic is a credible threat to someone like Theory? To Theory even. We're not talking, it's a joke to even imagine right now Dominic Mysterio in a ring with Roman Reigns, with Drew McIntyre, with Seth Rollins. It's a joke. Like there's no believability in that. So what do you do? What do you do with someone like Dominic? Right now they're teasing, let's throw him into the Judgment Day. But the Judgment Day are just the new 3MB, three-man band. It's a group of potential that WWE didn't know what to do with. They fucked it up. Then you got injuries, things happened, and now Judgment Day is just some joke that shows up on Main Event. If I'm booking Dominic Mysterio from here forward, right? SummerSlam to WrestleMania of this year, this is what I'm doing. Step one, immediately, without the Judgment Day, Dominic Mysterio needs to turn on Rey Mysterio. And not just turn on him, but he needs to destroy Rey Mysterio. It needs to be ugly. It needs to be uncomfortable. It needs to feel ugly. Just beat the life out of Rey Mysterio in like career-ending style beat. Right? Mm-hmm. And just beat him down. Pull the mask off. Tear the mask. Set the mask on fire.
That's
some
brutal,
shit.
bro.
Do some shit that gets like people going like, oh, okay. Dominic can be an asshole, right? You do this. And then you have Dominic completely take on this Eddie Guerrero-esque character where he's cheating to win every week. And he's beating names that he shouldn't typically beat, right? He's beating Seth Rollins by cheating, by this malicious acts of like, we saw like the throwing the chair and then Rey Mysterio fell. That should have been Dominic. Dominic needs to do those kinds of things. Even give him the theme music. Even give him the lowrider. If anybody in WWE, if there's any person that the WWE universe would accept as the new Eddie Guerrero, it's Dominic. The lineage is there. We will accept it. We're okay with it. We actually will let him do the things that we probably wouldn't let anybody else do. The shimmies, the lowrider, the music, the lie I still, he can do all that. And what you do is you book him for the next 6 months in just this heel cheating, just fucking savage way, right? And then we build up as we get closer to WrestleMania, Rey returns. And Rey begins to plead with Dominic that this is not who we are. This is not what the family does. This is not what we're about. You know, the mask means something. And Rey comes back and in some form or fashion, Rey beats Dominic at WrestleMania. And in that match, he takes the mask off and hands it to Dominic. And from there on out, Dominic takes over the character of Rey Mysterio moving forward. I think that's the only way you fix Dominic Mysterio. That he then takes over the legacy of Rey Mysterio, and moving forward, he becomes Rey, and Rey is done. Rey should retire at WrestleMania and just hand over the character and the music and everything to Dominic, and Dominic comes out. That character is, you just got to flip around. You got to do the 619. The little kids love it, and that's it. Like, put the mask on, Dominic.
I'm sold.
Put the fucking mask on. That's all
sold.
you got to do. That's the way you book Dominic if you want to save him. If not, hey, man, he can just be a little bitch Dominic forever, if that's what we're trying to do.
Boy.
Little bitch Dominic is fine.
I agree. Okay. So, also while we were watching Monday Night Raw, I thought of this question, okay? So, do you think that it's time to break up the Street Profits? And is Montez ready for a solo career?
All right, so everybody, that's what everybody, I guess, is insinuating is happening, because Kayla Braxton kind of teased that the dirt sheets had rumors that they're not getting along. I don't understand this. I don't understand why these two questions have to be synonymous. Why do we have to break up the Street Profits in order to give Montez Ford a solo career? I don't get that. Why has it always been this thing in professional wrestling that in order for one guy in a tag team to have success, he has to turn on the other guy? The biggest example of this I can bring up is Big E, right? They removed Big E basically from from the New Day. They separated him and they moved him to Monday Night Raw, and they kept the rest of the New Day on SmackDown. Big E went on to win the WWE Championship and have a less than stellar run as WWE Champion. And I believe that it's because they did two things wrong. They either A, didn't turn him into a new character. He just continued to be Big E minus the part of WWE that made Big E, which was the New Day.
Yeah.
Why was it a problem to B, just bring the New Day with him? Why couldn't they just, and I say this in a respectful way, this isn't meant to be, why couldn't they be his cheerleaders? Why couldn't they be there to celebrate every victory with Big E? Why did you need to separate the two? I don't understand it. The person that this type of thing hurts it hurts both sides. I think that if you look at Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, they are synonymous together. Why can't Angelo Dawkins just be there to support Montez as he grows to be a main event caliber singles competitor? Because this truly hurts Angelo Dawkins more than anybody. We have to be honest, right? In the last couple of weeks, I have seen a transformation in Angelo Dawkins. I have seen Angelo Dawkins begin to have personality, begin to have intensity, begin to do things in the ring. We saw him, springboard out of the ropes.
Freaking flew.
Yeah, and we were all like, I
didn't know he could do that.
Okay, Angelo. And it's almost like he knows what's coming, right? He goes, I got to step my game up but why? Why do we have to break them up? Why can't they just stay a tag team while pursuing solo careers? I don't understand it. And there's often been times I've said in WWE, why doesn't every person have a tag team partner? Like I understand
interesting.
I understand in certain cases, like certain characters are like lone wolf. And I get it, like that is effective. But wouldn't it be more effective to be a lone wolf if everybody else, like Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, should always just kind of be known as tag team partners? And what that does is that leads to more of the belief that anybody at any time could be tag team champions, because you always have a partner that you can go to. Now, tag teams can break up and form new tag teams, but if there was always kind of this defined partner, it would be easier to have these tag team tournaments, which leads me to like how fucked up the women's tag team division is, that they've literally just taken those belts and go, hey, we'll just put those in the closet. We can't have a tournament because we don't have enough teams. But why? What would it hurt if every woman on the WWE roster had a tag team partner? What would it hurt for Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss to just be partners? For Shotzi and somebody to be partners? For Natalya and Shayna Baszler to always be partners? They don't always have to appear on TV together, but I don't understand why in WWE you have to break apart things that work. The Street Profits are ingrained in who Montez Ford is. There was a certain amount of excitement when you hear that theme song. And another case in point was the Bella Twins. When they split the Bella Twins up and tried to give them separate theme songs, it never worked. because they're synonymous. Why can't Montez Ford just still be a Street Profit while pursuing the WWE Championship, while pursuing the Intercontinental Championship, the United States Championship, whatever? Angelo Dawkins, why can't they just still be Street Profits? It seems to me like it's a double merchandise opportunity. You can sell Street Profits gear while selling Montez Ford gear. Like, I don't understand. Same with the Wyatt family when they broke the Wyatt family up because they wanted to push Bray in a different direction or whatever. Like, I don't get why you have to tear these teams apart in order. In certain circumstances, I get it, right? You broke the Shield apart because you knew you had 3 people who could stand on their own. That makes sense. But when you have someone like Angelo Dawkins who is coming into his own, he just needs more time. Why not let him and Montez stay together and let Montez pursue a career, and every so often they can come back together. Same with Big E. If they just would have let Big E have the New Day, his title run would have been so much better.
Yeah. All right. So the next one is AJ Styles a headliner or is he a mid-card talent?
So you asked me this question.
I did.
During
the
Raw.
thing, because I literally...
You leaned over to me and asked me this question.
Made no sense. I didn't know.
And my initial answer to you was, hell no, he's not a mid-carder. AJ Styles, a mid-carder? And then, like I sat with it a minute, and I was like, oh, fuck. Like, is he a mid-carder? He's in the middle of the card almost every week. Mm-hmm. And I think what then... You led me to like a philosophical kind of journey that I did later on in the night. And it was, I got to define what a mid-carder is. What exactly is a mid-card? Is it a guy who's consistently in the middle of the show? Is that really what we define a mid-carder? Or is it a guy that we know can never be the main event? Like, we give the term mid-carder a negative connotation, but every company needs solid mid-card guys. And is a main event guy just a guy who's constantly either opening and closing the show? If that's the case, then WWE only has like 3 main event caliber people. If we're going to call mid-carder guys who are only in the middle of the card and don't main event the show, then you've got to throw The Miz, AJ Styles, even Kevin Owens has to be thrown into that. And WWE has so much talent on the roster. Every time I go to WWE.com and I scroll down, there's so much talent there. And the problem is, I think that in WWE, you can't define people as mid-card or main event caliber talent. You really have to do it more of like tiers of talent. You have your big time boys, like your top dogs, which are like Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and then kind of on the fringe of that in the men's side is like Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. Mm-hmm. Becky and Charlotte are definitely main event, like top tier, always the big feature, right? Mm-hmm. But then you have tier 2 guys. And tier 2 guys, I'm not ready to call them mid-card. Because I don't think they're mid. I just think they're guys who aren't constant main eventers. When you talk about guys like Kevin Owens isn't a mid-card guy. Kevin Owens is like, he can main event at any time and you're excited about it. AJ Styles is the same way. AJ can main event a show and I'm excited. I'm hyped up for it. The Usos, right? I don't know that the Usos are the main feature of WWE, but they've main evented plenty of shows and I've been perfect. The SmackDown we went to, they were the main event. And I was perfectly fine with that. Yeah. And I think Riddle and Bianca Belair are also in that echelon, possibly right on the edge of moving up to top tier. But I think that it's only fair to take like those top 2 tiers and say, those are all main event players. They're not mid-carders. So to answer the question, I'm not ready to put AJ Styles as a mid-card wrestler. He's a guy that at any point in time, if they elevate him in a story to the main card, to the main event, I'm okay, right? The Miz, I'm okay. Kevin Owens, I'm okay. I'm not confused. You put Los Lotharios in the main event and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? I didn't pay for this. This isn't what I paid for, right?
True.
So I think like the Los Lotharios are mid-card wrestlers. They're guys that are middle of the pack, right? I mean, even New Day, like Kofi and Xavier feel more mid-card than guys like AJ Styles, Edge, Riddle, Bianca Belair. So I'm not ready. I'm not ready to make AJ Styles a mid-card. I think he's hanging on the fringe. Mm-hmm. And I think even like Finn Balor, maybe the line between AJ Styles and Finn Balor may be like that fine line of mid-card. But
right.
I'm not going to do it.
Okay. I mean, that's interesting because I would say, in my opinion, I think he's a mid-carder, but
Gotcha.
you know. All right. So we saw some Twitter action this week. So what's your opinion on Shotzi's performance at Money in the Bank and her deactivating her Twitter?
All right. So first we'll talk about her performance. Everybody fucks up. Everybody fucks up. I don't get this. You even mentioned to me when I talked to you about this that you didn't even really see where she fucked up.
No, I didn't. I had no idea.
There was a spot where I think she's supposed to run up the ladder and she slips and falls off the ladder.
Yeah.
And then I think in a panic tries to continue to do her move and completely botches it. Fucks it up. But it's forgettable. It was in the middle of the match. I don't understand people calling for her to be fired or sent back to NXT. Like, the only way you learn is to fucking do. And you're going to fuck up. And nobody is expecting Shotzi to be the show stealer right now. That's not what we're expecting from her. Give her time. Give her time. But this is the internet. This is what the internet does. If I slip up and say the wrong thing, they come. And they come and they want to take you down because, look, the internet, for the most part, is people who don't want you to succeed. Even in pro wrestling, right? They don't want Shotzi to succeed. They don't want, they hope for failure, especially the IWC. They want her to fail. And you just have to learn to embrace it. I get negativity. I get negativity from other content creators who fucking sit around and try to shit on what I do. And I never get included in the fucking like little huggy hug fucking videos that they make for each other where they're like, I'm going to hold up a sign at Monday Night Raw with my favorite content creators. And, you know, they don't like me because I won't fucking like play in their little kiddie pool, which is fine, right? Same with Shotzi. Like, why do you give a fuck what people on Twitter are saying? I don't get it. Like, embrace that. Turn that into your inner heel. Use that energy. Don't deactivate your Twitter. Start looking at these people and say, I'm better than you. I'm better than you. I know I'm better than you. Use that energy. I don't get it. Like, Shotzi's gonna be fine. You fucking slipped on the ladder. You slipped on the, so what, right? And you panicked and you executed a bad DDT. Like, here's a challenge. Let's let every fucker on Twitter set up a ladder at a fucking 60-degree angle, and you try to run up the motherfucker.
I don't even want to run up like a ladder.
That's
just
my
regularly.
point, right? Like you try to run up the ladder. Yes, she fucking slipped. Next time, I guarantee you, she doesn't fucking slip. She'll go work on her craft and become better. Her deactivating her Twitter, her taking that to heart, is just a sign that like it means something to her. Mm-hmm. And I think I read that she said she's going through a lot of shit and like, but fuck them.
I think her dad died.
Maybe so. I don't know. But man, fuck them. Fuck Twitter. Fuck the internet. Fuck all those people, man. Those people want to see you fail. And the truth is, you're in WWE. You were in the Money in the Bank match. Like, that's it. Like, you fucking made it. And just keep fucking doing what you do and fuck the internet, man. The internet sucks.
I like it.
That's all we got for tonight, right? That was the last one?
Yeah.
All right. This has been another episode of the Casual Community Wrestling Show. As always, I am Nerdy D. That is Level Up Lauren. You can ring.
Oh, no. You have to tell everybody.
Oh, shit.
What is up, bro? What is up?
I thought we were going to slide right past that.
No.
Oh,
I didn't forget.
Okay, so I lost. I lost the belt. I don't even know where the belt is right this.
He's hidden it from me. I
can't hobble over there with my bad leg to get you the belt. But Lauren did beat me this month. I've lost my belt. I'm no longer the CWC pay-per-view premium live event champion. You called. Mm-hmm.
I told you it was Liv Morgan. So Liv Morgan did it for me.
There was a slim margin, and it was Liv Morgan that won you the belt because neither of us knew Theory was going to be in that last match.
No. We
both called the main card exactly the same. The only place we differed was in that match, and you called it. Sir. So you are the champion. You can have the belt. We'll feature it next week when I'm able to walk.
I'm going to expect a ceremony or something.
I'll give you a ceremony. We'll have a cake. I'll give you a cake and a ceremony, and we'll have a party.
All right, I like it.
So now can I close out the show?
Now I can ring the bell.
This has been another episode of the Casual Wrestling Community Show. As always, I'm Nerdy D. That is Level Up Lauren. Ring the final bell, champ.
Ding, 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 ding.